1.5 million immigrants that are in Rachel Reeves' budget figures going to turn up? Where are they going to live?
Well, there's plenty of housing in the UK, but the houses, especially
hang on. You can't, on the one hand, say we've got to build this 1.5 million houses and then say there's plenty of housing already.
There is plenty of housing, Trevor, already, but there's not enough.
That's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. You know,
I've hit that age where I go, well, they're all lying.
David isn't just cracking jokes. He's asking the questions everyone is thinking. Can we trust the people running the country?
As a qualification to run the country. I mean, now.
Promised to build 1.5 million homes in the UK, but even experts are saying it's unlikely. Local councils are already suggesting it's a pipe dream. But here's what really got people talking. Rayner dodged the real issue. Reports are suggesting that most of these homes, around 5 out of 7, could end up going to migrants, many of whom crossed the channel illegally. And let's not forget the numbers. Under Keir Starmer's leadership, over 20,000 illegal crossings have been recorded just this year.
You start the interview by telling me that there's a housing crisis. When I remind you that you have said yourselves as a government, we're going to need 2.5 million migrants. Some of them, by the way, people are going to build the houses. Suddenly, there's a lot of housing. Where are these people going to go?
Well, Trevor, first of all, when you say about building as well, the previous government did use migrants.
What does this mean for UK citizens struggling to find housing? Jay's frustration highlights a bigger issue. Promises may sound good, but where's the accountability?
We'll do anything close to it. Thankless, horrible.
Can't even acknowledge the challenges. How can we trust them to fix anything? If you thought Angela Rayner's housing plan was controversial, it gets even more heated when journalist Isabel Oakeshott steps in. She's pointed out that much of the housing already built for struggling UK citizens is being given to migrants. These aren't just regular homes. Many of them were meant for homeless people who have been waiting for years.
Taxpayer picks up the bill for hundreds of migrants to be in a hotel down the road. Let me spell out what that means. That means the taxpayer is paying twice for accommodation for asylum seekers and refugees, not only in the hotel, but also in a purpose-built village, much of which is lying empty, and those units that are occupied, in some cases, they're being occupied by people who are, by the council's own admission, in full-time work and can afford the kind of cars that, trust me, I don't drive.
Exactly.
We saw a Range Rover there, we saw Jags, we saw Audi.
BMW, I saw all the pictures. I mean, there's some very nice cars parked there.
If you can afford that, then I really would argue that you can probably afford to make a pretty sizable contribution to a roof over your own head.
Numbers are shocking. Thousands of migrants, including those who entered illegally, have been given free housing, while families who were born and raised in the UK are left on waiting lists, with some even sleeping rough. Oakeshott's comments have sparked outrage. Why is housing meant for the vulnerable being redirected? The public is asking tough questions. Is this about fairness, or are political priorities completely out of touch with the struggles of everyday people? The backlash is growing, and it's clear this issue isn't going away anytime soon.
So local council committees and residents like you will have no say in what goes up in your local area. It'll be some government-appointed local official who rubber stamps the whole development. Your area changes beyond recognition and you have no...
Ricky Gervais isn't just criticizing policies. He's calling out what he sees as outright lies. The Labour Party, led by Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner, made big promises when they took charge. They said they would fix the UK's broken systems, support pensioners, and stand by the working class. But what's actually happened? People feel betrayed.
Greedy little posh.
Inheritance tax, for example. Labour promised to ease the burden on families, yet now they're hitting family businesses with new taxes. Then there's the winter fuel allowance. Millions of pensioners who rely on this support are being cut off, all in the name of saving money. To Jay, this shows a government that says one thing and does another. His frustration echoes what many across the country are feeling. Are these leaders truly fighting for the people, or are they just another group of politicians playing the same old games?
Are absolutely committed to our British farmers, and that's why we've committed £5 billion to the farming budget over the next 2 years. That's the largest ever amount for sustainable food production in the UK.
Well, perhaps the Right Honourable Lady thinks that everyone came to London yesterday to thank the government.
The proposal is facing criticism not just for its ambitious claims, but for exposing a bigger issue: her and Keir Starmer's disconnect from the everyday reality of Brits. People are fed up with empty promises and policies that seem designed to grab headlines rather than solve real problems. Rayner's interviews only make things worse. When asked about the details of her plan, she appeared unprepared, dodging questions and ignoring concerns about housing allocation and resources. Meanwhile, Starmer's leadership has failed to inspire confidence. Critics argue he's more focused on political survival than tackling the real challenges faced by working families. Rising costs, housing shortages, and broken promises have left people frustrated. For many, this isn't just bad politics. It feels like a complete lack of understanding from those in charge.
A housing shortage, or we've got plenty of housing, or does she actually mean we've got a housing shortage for everybody across the country that pay their taxes and work and need new homes, but we've got lots of places that we can put immigrants?
Frustration is growing. From housing problems to rising taxes, people feel like they're being overlooked. Ricky Javid's criticism strikes a chord with many who believe politicians are out of touch and that their promises don't hold any weight. The backlash against Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer shows a wider discontent with leadership. People feel like resources are being given to those who haven't contributed, while longtime citizens are left struggling. The Labour Party's policies, once seen as solutions, now seem like empty gestures.
Make your mind up. Do we have a housing shortage, or do we have too many houses? That's what you said. You said we've plenty of houses, but we've got a housing shortage. Which is it? Don't you know? And don't you think, Russell, that she should get a better answer for Trevor Phillips's excellent point? Said if you crunch the numbers, 5 out of every 7 of these alleged new homes that the government's going to build will go to migrants.
The question everyone is asking is simple. How much more can the UK take? If leaders don't step up and address these problems, public trust will keep fading. Change isn't just needed. It's demanded. With voices like Jay speaking out, the call for accountability is getting louder every day.
Faced by Trevor Phillips, in this particular instance, grilling Angela Rayner on a very, very kind of basic Diane Abbott kind of mathematics basis, really. We see that the whole approach of this Labour government, particularly on housing, crumbles before our very eyes. I mean, how Angela Rayner can say, well, actually, even though we've pledged to build 1.5 million homes over the next 5 years, we don't really need to because there's loads of housing. I can tell you, there is not loads of housing, particularly affordable homes, particularly social housing. Governments over the last 10, 15, 20 years have failed miserably to build not just adequate housing stock, but in particular, housing that is needed at the lower end of the scale, particularly.
Proposed inheritance tax reforms have only made things worse for many. The plan includes a 20% tax on business properties worth over $1 million. While it might seem like it's aimed at the rich, the reality is much different. Family-owned businesses, farms, and small enterprises are now at risk. For many families, this isn't just another tax. It's a threat to businesses that have been passed down through generations. Some may even be forced to sell their properties just to pay the tax, putting jobs at risk and leaving communities without vital services. Economists warn that this could do more harm than good for the economy. Labour had promised to protect hardworking families, but this move feels like a betrayal. Business leaders and critics are questioning whether the party understands the long-term damage this could cause. Meanwhile, the winter fuel allowance, which was a lifeline for many pensioners, has been slashed. Once a promise to protect the elderly, this allowance is now means-tested, cutting support for many retirees who rely on it to get through the cold winter months.
Spoke to an 84-year-old woman worked all her life, obviously now a pensioner, and she told me that she doesn't get out of bed till midday because she didn't want to turn the heating on.
Yeah, it's awful.
And then when she did get out of bed, she had this sort of thermal jacket that she just wore all day long, so she didn't have to put the heating up very high. That's an awful position to put a pensioner in.
Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, that was before the election when he was begging for your vote. Sorry, I forgot. Since then, of course, he's taken away the £300 winter fuel payment for all but the poorest of pensioners and condemned millions of OAPs to freeze this winter.